Now, I want to apologize for not being able to post yesterday. I bought my wife a trip for vacation for her birthday a while back. So I took her to Disney World. That's where she wanted to go. And I'm spending time with my family. Rarely do I ever miss a video. And when I take a vacation, I usually post, but very, very difficult to do that at Disney World. Time with your family. I thank you for understanding. My wife and family are very important to me. I try to make memories with them. So I might miss tomorrow as well. Then I'll be doing normal updates this weekend and back to my normal post after that. But I might miss tomorrow as well. But just know, again, I'm watching. Do we start breaking down immediately with the MACD rollover? Still try to go up towards the upper end of this rising wedge. Now, on two trend lines. One here, we broke with this low right here. We broke that trend line yesterday, and are we just back testing it now? Another trend line from this low here to our low here, excluding the shadow, and again, you still have a rising wedge. We had this, I told you we had a potential divergence in play right here, but couldn't close above our July 3rd peak. Our July 3rd peak, we couldn't close above it. 62.87, we closed at 62.84 here. Then we got above it with the CPI, and then we turned back down. The RSI looks at closes, so this, considering for the RSI, would be a lower high. Still might form a divergence. We still might try to go higher. So I'm watching this closely. We may see, we started to sell off. We end up today, but rebounded. If we end up selling off, remaining that way, then maybe we just got this breakdown and backtest. I think we're going to end up pulling back and getting wave 4. I'm just telling you, it might be that this final push higher isn't done yet, as I've continued to talk about. My signals remain bullish. So do we still get that divergence there? We did get the divergence on the 60-minute chart. We got a divergence here with the RSI. On the intraday chart, again, is it done? I told you we got to take out the 10 period. Right now we're hovering right at the 10 period in the daily. You got to take out the 50 right now. Well, we dropped below it, but then we got back above it. We're hovering just right around that level. Is this divergence done yet? This could be a multiple point divergence. I've talked about this at great length and detail. ACD is still hovering right around the center line there. Does it firm up and we end up getting this larger divergence? Something like that? Or is this thing done and that's all she wrote, and we start seeing the momentum confirming a downturn by taking out the 50 here, taking out the 10 period in the daily time frame, seeing momentum signals turn bearish, like the momentum reversal of conditions, seeing the momentum line turn bearish? Or do we get the blue count? We pop a little higher and then begin to turn again, then get this ABC move. Watching it closely. Trading takes a lot of patience. Just throw a little fit, demand the market do what we want it to do, whether go higher or lower. Looking for a top. Is it done yet? I'm looking for clues. It's either done or about done. My momentum signals have not yet turned bearish. I need to see my momentum signals turn bearish, then I need to see the trend signals turn bearish to validate if we're going to get a bigger sell-off. You see here on the 60-minute chart, I've marked this as wave 3, either completing here with the CPI rally and that fizzled out, or again, a little bit of a push higher and then turning, but momentum has to flip to validate that. I told you on the 60-minute chart to be watching, or the 5-minute chart, to be watching the gap fill at 62.80. On the previous week, we filled that with the CPI, and we went to a new all-time high above 62.90. I told you to be watching the 6,300 area. We hit it. We still may flirt with that low 6,300 area a little bit more, but this could be a top if we set up a lower high. I tell you, if we have a top here with the topping tail and the black candlestick on the 5-minute chart, and you got a first leg down here, and you're now getting a possible ABC or something, then you can get your lower high, and that can be all she wrote. But if the Dow makes a new high, if we see a rally, further rally with Taiwan Semiconductor, then again, Nvidia goes up to the trend line, it might help NASDAQ a little bit more, might help the S&P. And again, you still might inch a little higher to the upper end of the rising wedge pattern on the S&P 500. So keep that in mind. Again, this topping tail may be just short-lived. We're looking for clues. Can the 50 get back above the 200? It may get back above it, and we may still get a lower high, get something like that, if this is an A, B, C. So I'm watching closely. Do we have a zigzag type of 535 pattern going on here? Maybe go a little higher, but then stall and get a lower high. Watching this closely. Now, we do have negative diversions developing, but again, we've had negative diversions before. We've had negative diversions before right there. We still went higher. So again, this is only the 5-minute time frame. It's short-term price fluctuations. Not every divergence is always going to play out. Going to be watching. We're back above the 200, the black line here in the 5-minute time frame. Can we stay there? If the Elliott wave count is done, then we need to see the S&P come down and begin to take out today's low and flip signals to bearish with momentum, and then start flipping the trend signals, and then get the 50 dropping below the 200, price below both of them. So that would be bearish. If we rallied above the 50, and here in the 15-minute time frame, we're stalling at the cloud. If you can clear this level, then again, we could test this level right here, either get a lower high or maybe stall here. Counter trend's done, but to clear this high right here, again, getting back above the 6,300 area, buy us just a little bit more time, and then I'll be watching. If that happens, I'll be watching the upper boundary of this rising wedge that is forming. So again, sideways, we either need to break down or we need to break up. If we break up, watch the upper boundary of the rising wedge. If we break down, then again, if we take out the cloud in the 20 period here in the daily time frame, you'll get that bigger drop. Then I'll be looking at the gaps here, gap support down here, this gap fill here. Whether we make it down that far, we'll see. But again, I think a wave 4 is about to happen. The question is the top end with the CPI rally that fizzled out? On my other chart in this video, I'm showing you the broken trend line. Here's that broken trend line that we could just be back testing. Or, again, we could redraw the trend line and still try to reach the upper boundary of the rising wedge. I'm talking about both of those scenarios. Again, right now, my signals remain bullish with momentum. My signals remain bullish with the trend signals. This is what I think is happening. I think we've either completed this third wave, and we're going to get a pullback and get wave 4, and then 5, and then complete the whole top, completing the cycle. You go a little higher, and then you come back down to your wave 4. So watching this closely. Play out either way. Again, I'm just looking at support and resistance, and I'm looking at my mathematically based indicators. Momentum is still bullish. Trend signals, swing trend signals are still bullish. It's likely going to change soon. We're likely going to see a top, but don't have confirmation that that has taken place yet. I think we'll move back to the 200 period moving average, the black line, as I've talked about. 60-minute chart of the NASDAQ. Again, here I've marked that we've peaked and we're starting to turn and get wave 4. That might not be correct. We still may get one more push higher. We've got Taiwan Semiconductor earnings. We'll see. Does Nvidia turn? And today it got a doji. Does it turn? And that's a doji peak and we turn down? Or is it a doji and we go up to the trend line that I'm talking about in this video and have been talking about, and buy just a little bit more time? Again, we're bouncing off the 50 period here. We're bouncing off the 10 period in the daily. If we take these levels out, that's bearish. And if we bounce off of them, it might buy us a little bit more time. The divergence could be done. No guarantee that it's going to continue, but it could continue. If the MACD firms up, then we can continue. If it breaks down, then we might sell off with the Taiwan Semiconductor earnings with the NASDAQ. With Nvidia, there's a NASDAQ Elliott wave count. Again, we got a black candlestick yesterday with the CPI. We sold off and continued to sell off today, but then rebounded, closing above our 10 period moving average, bouncing off of our 50 period on the 60-minute chart. You got to take these levels out if you're going to sell off here. Again, we've got this multiple point diversions going on. NASDAQ 100 was up 23 points today, up 0.10%, up 0.1%. Again, broken down and we're back testing here, then again we could begin to get a bigger sell-off. We got to see evidence of that. Right now we're just kind of going sideways. Again, it's very possible that we've just peaked or about to peak. I do think a pullback's coming, but there's not enough evidence to say the top is in yet. Maybe we get that confirmation that maybe if we sell off with Taiwan Semiconductor, that validates a peak on NASDAQ and Nvidia. You recently got that 13 count. Again, sometimes you go a little bit higher. But if we rally with Taiwan Semiconductor earnings, again, maybe it gives us a top. And we could redraw the lower boundary from this low right here, and maybe we could go up into this upper trend line right here. Certainly possible that we go a little higher and then begin to turn and have a redraw with the rising wedge, but still have a rising wedge. So again, be open-minded, be patient. Yes, I think a top is developing. Is there enough evidence to say that it's in yet? Not yet. Okay, the stock market sold off with the S&P 500 on Tuesday. We moved higher initially with the CPI, and then we reversed and that high very carefully, but NASDAQ did the same thing. By the way, we have the market going lower today and then recovering surrounding concerns about President Trump firing Fed Chair Powell. And again, let me just say, again, there's a lot of rumors about this. Powell's denied it, but if Powell ends up resigning or if Trump ends up firing him, expect the markets to be rattled by that. But then it could be a catalyst if it happens. If one of those events happens, Trump's denying that he's going to do it. That previously, we've had volatility surrounding this previously. Whether anything amounts to it, who knows? Powell still could resign. Whether he will or not could just be rumors. Maybe there's something to it. Who knows? I have no idea. I'm telling you, if Powell ends up resigning, or if Trump tries to fire him, that could rattle markets for a little while. And then whoever Trump picks, which I think if Trump's next Fed chair pick, I think it's probably going to be the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. I think he's going to likely be the next Fed chair. Powell's term isn't up till May, but you know, Powell and Trump, they don't like each other. Trump's been trying to get rid of Powell, saying he's not going anywhere, so we'll see what happens. No, if Powell resigns or if Fed Trump fires him, I expect that could be and that creates volatility. Whether it happens or not is anybody's guess. That was one thing that created some volatility today. Dow ended up 231 points higher. Still could make a new all-time high. It does, again, the S&P and NASDAQ might join it. We have the Taiwan Semiconductor earnings. Taiwan Semiconductor earnings tomorrow before the market opens. We got Netflix after the closing bell. Netflix is just under a major trend line. I'll show you these trend lines on Nvidia. It's just under a major trend line. I got a candle of indecision, I believe, today. But we'll see what Taiwan Semiconductor see how the earnings come in, and does that move semiconductors and the whole tech sector just a little bit higher, or do the earnings end up hurting? See a turn. I'll show you Nvidia in just a moment. Had the Dow up 231 points, up just over 0.5%. S&P was up. S&P up 0.32%, up just under 20 points, holding at 62.64, rounding up. NASDAQ up just over 0.25%. The Russell up about 1%. The VIX was down 1.21%, hovering just above 17. Keep in mind, the CEO of Nvidia, you know, he was selling aggressively in the summer of 2024. Adopted this new plan in 2025 to sell up to 6 million shares. He's continuing to sell. Sold 37 million worth of Nvidia stock, doing what he did in 2024 here in 2025. Nvidia is in a massive topping process, so don't lose sight of that. The Taiwan Semiconductor earnings before the opening bell tomorrow we'll be watching, and again, probably be overnight at some point. Get that information. We'll see what happens. Does it create a sell-off, or do we go up and hit this trend line? Remember, I told you I was watching this trend line excluding the shadow. We hit it. We got a topping tail. We got a 13 count. We stalled. I told you Nvidia is either going to peak here or go a little bit higher and peak. But again, I think it's going to pull back and get a 4 and then a wave 5, complete the cycle top. Now, again, we've got a couple of back-to-back candles of indecision. This trend line, including the shadow, if we go up to that level, that's right where the trend line from the long-term channel is in the weekly time frame that I've shown you. I don't have time to show you today, but you know what I'm talking about. Candle of indecision. We could be seeing that as a turning point, gapping higher, coming back, filling these gaps and starting to pull back, or inch a little bit higher and then begin to turn. So again, we'll be watching how this unfolds. But again, I think the time is short. The RSI is moving to a new high. There was a divergence. Now it's moving to a new extreme. Sometimes it moves to an extreme. Like we had at the bottom was just an extreme, no diversions. Sometimes there are divergences. Sometimes there are not. Stochastic trying to turn back up here with that. MACD moving slightly higher. The RSI moving higher. So again, we're at extremes. We're likely going to see Nvidia pull back at some point. I said it still may go higher. We talked about this at great length and detail, and I'm watching these two trend lines right here, and they peak later in the year in September, August, September, or October. I expect a pullback, and I think it's coming. This morning we got the wholesale inflation, the PPI. The PPI on a month-over-month with our headline number came in flat. It was expected to come in at 0.2%. It came in better than expected. With the core month over month, we had the same thing. So it came in better than expected on a month over month basis. The headline number, and this is wholesale inflation, came in less than previous reading. Again, the headline number came in at 2.3. 2.3% is supposed to be at 2.7. And it came in, or I'm sorry, it was 2.7 previously. So we saw it go down. So inflation, or also dropped 2.5, previously 2.8. On the CPI, core month over month came right in line. The headline came right in line on a month over month. The month over month core was just slightly better at 0.2%. It's supposed to be 0.3. And then the year over year came in and as expected with their CPI year over year 2.7, and that was higher than the 2.4. Now again, I've told you I thought the CPI would end up rising. It is. The wholesale inflation still dropping at this point. Core year over year came in a little bit better than expected. It was supposed to be at 3%. It came in at 2.9%, and that was still higher than the 2.8%. And again, it's been holding steady at 2.8 there for a couple of readings, couple of months now. So again, we're seeing the CPI inflation begin to tick back up. The core is just moving off of the lows, and then we have CPI bottoming out at 2.3, moving to 2.4, now at 2.7. So it is rising as I've been predicting. We'll get retail sales tomorrow before the market opens. And again, semiconductor earnings with the Dow. We had on the daily chart, the Dow turned down, but it's just below the previous all-time highs. Watching to see does it make it there or not. Here we're coming down below the 10-period moving average. We got a bearish reversal of conditions with the Monday session. With the Tuesday session, and then we are trying to bounce off the 20-period moving average. If we can flip it back up, you might form a little divergence right here on the daily chart, go up and make a new high, and get a Dow theory sell signal where the Dow moves to a new high, but the transports does not. Not get that until the final top if the Dow doesn't end up selling out, but it's just something I'm watching on the Dow and the transports. I changed the bars to reflect the trend. Again, we got red bars, red cloud. So momentum's flipped with the Dow here, but it still may form a divergence before all is said and done. We are going sideways on the Dow at the moment. If it plays out that way, we still may see the S&P 500 still get more green bars. I told you we still might not be done. We still might Go to the upper end of the rising wedge. I've talked about it. I'll show it to you. If we still get more green bars, it could look something like this, where you get this multiple point divergence. We get one in this most recent price action as we're kind of doing the sidestep here. We don't have a bearish reversal of conditions yet, but the MACD did roll over. We are getting the negative rollover on the MACD. Still possible. We see the MACD inch turn back up and price inch back up, and you get this little divergence like that right there before all is said and done. The stochastics rolled over, but it's still holding above 80. So again, red bars, do they continue to be red and go negative when we start getting a bearish reversal of conditions, or do we buy a little bit more time? We've got that rising wedge, but we still might go up to the upper end of the rising wedge. That in a moment. Again, tried to take out the cloud today and couldn't do it. We had concerns about, going to fire Powell, and concerns recently, Powell's going to resign. So again, if there's any truth to any of this, again, it's likely going to rattle markets. It could be a catalyst for a top. But again, just simply don't know if there's any truth to either one of these things. If we do see more green bars, again, you could see, like what I was looking at with the Dow there, you could see a divergence develop right here and still go up and hit that upper end of the rising wedge. And momentum is still bullish. We still, like I keep saying, my signals are still bullish. We start turning bearish, but maybe that's all she wrote. But again, you can clearly see we're going sideways. We had the 13.9. Sometimes you can overthrow that level and keep going just a little bit longer. So far, that is the case. Now, if we start losing the 10, we tried to lose it yesterday, but ever so slightly at the close, and then we're right at it right now at the close today. Losing this area, we start taking out the lower boundary of the cloud. Well, then you're going to flip this to red. Then we're at risk of turning. Still a chance that we go higher, especially if the Dow tries to make a new all-time high. We might get a little bit more green here. Again, forming multiple point divergences. Candles of indecision in the weekly time frame. We'll be watching to see if we close out the week that way. Another doji, try to inch a little higher. Do we see a turn with last week's doji before the week ends? On NASDAQ, again, NASDAQ, we've had the MACD roll over. We've got a divergence. Again, it might not be done yet. We've got multiple point. If we start seeing a little bit more green, certainly possible. Don't have a bearish reversal of conditions. My signals, listen carefully. Are you listening? My signals are still bullish. Signals that called the bottom and predicted the rally are still bullish. I think it's going to come to a conclusion here. I'm looking for a top. That doesn't mean I've called a top. It means I'm looking for one because the signals are forming divergences. Notice, we don't have momentum bearish. We tried to take out the cloud today. You couldn't do it. You got a red bar, even though it's blue reflecting the trend here, you had a down day that gave us a black candlestick on the daily chart. You can't see it here. But again, it's not being validated today. That bar yesterday is not being validated. You still are holding above the 10 period here on the NASDAQ daily chart. We got a possible bottoming tail. Doji here. It could also be a topping pattern if we start shifting with momentum. You can clearly see the signals are still bullish. We don't have a reversal of conditions yet. Here's the NASDAQ we don't have. We don't have the momentum line bearish. That could be coming. Maybe it comes tomorrow or before the week ends here, but right now, we don't have it. If we start turning down, it's going to turn red. Now, it happens, and we see a bearish reversal of conditions, talking about in this video as well, then again, momentum signals will turn, and we'll likely see trend signals begin to turn shortly after, but we still may buy a little bit more time. Now, you have warning signs here. NASDAQ and S&P, so far they have not played out. Momentum is still bullish. The swing trend signals are still bullish. NASDAQ daily chart. Same thing here with S&P. Again, we still could sell off if Powell resigns or something, could rattle markets, or start to sell off with Taiwan semiconductor earnings, or whatever the case may be. Right now, you don't have a bearish momentum line. It's still bullish at this point. I'm getting warning signs but that just could be a sideways move. It's just looking at short-term momentum. Again, we've got the multiple diversions. It could play out immediately, but we might buy a little bit more time. Again, just turning right back up and to the upper boundary of the rising wedge and then reversing. It's still possible. So I'm looking for clues. Right now, momentum signals are still bullish. Swing trend signals are still bullish. That change immediately? Yeah, it could, but right now it's not. We're consolidating sideways. Could give us one more pop, or we could be in a short-term topping process if we get a downward resolution and we start seeing momentum validate that. S&P 500 daily chart. If we see on Thursday or Friday momentum turn bearish, sell-off, that's likely going to be the case. We bounce, we buy a couple more days. Quickly, here's my signals. Green bars, green cloud, still bullish here. Still bullish here. Green bar, green clouds. And here, still bullish. Here, still bullish. Here, still bullish. Here, a warning sign that meant we are either going a correction or reversal. So far, we're going sideways. That could be a correction. Breakdown could be a reversal. Signals are still bullish at this point. A warning sign, a pullback, a reversal. So far, it's just been a sideways move. Get these 13-9 signals. Sometimes they play out immediately. Sometimes there's a delayed reaction. Could be here. We're getting a sideways correction, corrective move, or we get a pop higher and then begin to turn down. We pop higher up to that upper boundary. I didn't draw that very well, but to the upper boundary of the rising wedge. Here, if we get a downward resolution and start seeing momentum turn bearish, then this could play out, and that may be all she wrote. If the high from the CPI was it, then we need to get a lower high and a lower low and start taking out the 20-period moving average. Right now, momentum signals are bullish. Signals are bullish. I think that's going to change. The possibility of testing the upper boundary of the rising wedge first. If we don't break down, we can still try to move towards the upper Bollinger Band. If we do break down, then momentum has to turn bearish. Signals here is still bullish. Broke the trend line. Could just be in back test mode here and then see things break down. We'll be watching to see if we take out yesterday's high. If the sideways move breaks down, then we're going to see my momentum signals turn bearish, and eventually the trend signals will turn bearish. Right now, they're bullish, still hanging in there.